I want to give you a user's review of Flexpert's Dev's Assistant. Now, I use Claude and I use Chat. I even use Bolt.new. And I am not the programmer or the developer that is anywhere close to your level. You know that. But I am stubborn. And I can even waste days on end with a problem that you can probably do in an hour or two, but I don't give up. I keep at it. So I've been asking Claude to help me out with how to figure out how to make means by which I can store the visibility of posts. Now, I've got an end goal. I'm going to rebuild this session here, so give me a moment. Okay, so I've rebuilt the test here, and you're probably going to hear me ramble a little bit as I try to talk about this. But what I wanted was, and I've got an end state goal, but I know I have to get there incrementally. What I wanted was a way for the app to detect, has a post been seen? Now that's probably easy peasy lemon squeezy for you, but not for me. And I went to Claude, and it's suggesting all sorts of stuff, which, you know, I try to use Claude's recommendations. I even built some widgets based on what Claude was telling me, and did the same thing with ChatGPT. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to run over here to Flexperts and take a look and see what it suggests to me. And I did that probably, what time is it now? Probably about 3.5 hours ago. You can look in your own logs and see how long it took. It did not take very long overall, considering that, again, I'm the guy who can work on the same problem, bang my head up against the wall for days on end. But as you can see on the screen here, I've got some simple posts, and obviously I want to find out, have they been seen? And so clear up some of this stuff here. As you'll see right now, this is based on code and a custom function built for me by Flexperts, and the Flexpert Assistant to be exact. And right now it accurately detects that the post that has been seen is this one. Okay, item 0 on seen posts, and it accurately detects when I've seen it. And so it's New Year's Eve where you're at. Still, I'm in the past. It's or so here now. And so as I scroll and I see another post, watch what happens to the seen posts IDs, app state value. So as I scroll up, once about 50%, date of current post, boom, seen post ID, there it is. Once about 50% of the post appears, the second one will show up. And as I scroll through here, it shows me exactly how many items I've seen, and I've seen 5 so far. This 6th one down here, I haven't seen enough. And I've got the visibility threshold set for 0.5. So when half of the post has been seen, bada bing, it appears. Now, I'm recording that only right now to an app state variable. I'm going to end up recording it to the database. And what I want to do, obviously, is I want to show someone, for example, if I would have created the post, like this horrible facial picture or this laptop picture, and other people have seen it, I want to see, other than myself, who has seen this post, to kind of give me that idea. So I want to continue talking about how it did all of this and how it helped me through it. So it gave me this custom widget, Post Visibility Tracker. And I know it looks like it has a lot of errors on it, but you know and I know that's not accurate. And it built it, it told me how to put it on there, and gave me some unique parameters, some parameters that I've never used before. For example, a widget. Never used a function that called a widget, and I've never used a function that called an action. And so I had to ask the Flexpert Assistant what exactly it meant by all of this, and it patiently walked me through each of the step of instructions. But the way that I was building out my page would have drove you crazy. The way I was building out my page was I had first I had individual post types set up because I've got three types of posts. I have what I call a moment, I have what I call a thought, and I have what I call a place or a location. And so I actually, again, with Flexpert Assistant's help, had to create components of each of those different types. I'd been very proud about that. But I had all of those in the main feed. And implementing this thing was a little frustrating. And so what I thought I needed to do is to take this whole section here and make a component out of it. And so I did. And I called it main feed post, but it still didn't work. And I couldn't understand how to do your assistant's instructions about wrapping my calls in this widget. But finally, what I ended up doing was because I need to pass, obviously, the parameters, the important parameters of every post. And so I ended up using a conditional builder, and this is your assistant's function, which then calls the map place component and then has an action when it's visible of recording that to the scene post and the last scene timestamp. And obviously this is where I'm going to make my backend call to Firestore. So it solved a problem that I've been working on for a while, trying to figure out how to make this issue where I can actually see, I see the sixth one here, and the seventh one. And these are the best burgers in Oklahoma, where I can actually see who has seen it. So that's all the great news. Now, I'm going to give you some suggestions. At this point, Flattery ends. Now we're going to look at some of the things that I think you need to improve on. Just a couple of things. First, I can only go back a certain distance. I can't go back throughout the entire conversation. So there's a huge conversation way above all of this, but I can't scroll to it. And that would be really great. And that might be a level of, hey, pay this to have that, where I can see more of the conversation going on. The second thing that happened, and I can't demonstrate it very well, but at least on this screen, it asked me to copy code that it built for me and to, obviously bring that into FlutterFlow and paste it. And so I did, but it was adding extra hash or curly cues or braces or whatever you call it. And I actually had to end up using Claude to clean that. See if I can find it. So I actually had to use Claude to clean that code up for me and to, take away all the curly cues, because I went back and forth with this, with the assistant copying it, and it, still not pass a test, and said, couldn't parse it. And I'd say, hey, this is what I've got in there for the code. What's the problem? And your assistant would say, oh, you've got too many braces and curly braces, and this is what you ought to put out. And it took me a little while to realize I'm putting out exactly what it's telling me to put out, copying it exactly, pasting it exactly. It was adding extra ones in there. And that's something that maybe you should take a look at. The name of the function, and something that I learned I could do, is post visibility tracker. So I can come in here and I can say, show me the function, actually it's the widget code for post visibility tracker. And so it'll go back up in the conversation and it'll pull down exactly what it gave me before. And if you were to copy this code from here to here, copy it all, carry it over to Claude, start a new chat, and say, what are the formatting issues with this code? And send it over. It'll tell you, it's got curly braces being used for single quotes instead of regular curly braces, and it'll clean it up nice and pretty, and then it'll work. So those are the only couple of suggestions that I have for the assistant. If I can remember something it said earlier, I can ask, hey, tell me that again, even if it's beyond here. But if my old man's memory kicks in and I forget it, then I'm out of luck. So I recommend that either, you summarize it off to the side, or you allow me to go up and see it second. I don't know why it's adding extra braces in there, but that's something maybe you could take a look at, and I love it. And thank you so much for it. And Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. You're a great friend. If you have any questions, you know how to reach me, man. And until then, you take care and do the best you can.